only thing, I've drawn a line on the Epstein scandal in terms of plausible deniability for people in public life, because so many people, public figures, have been connected with him, that there is a qualitative difference to me.
Because for me, they're going to contact everyone I've ever known. They're going to go through my phones, cameras, laptops, arrest me 5 times, arrest the mothers of my children, arrest my mom, raid houses, and struggle to find a single shred of evidence that allows them to convict me. However, when they have piles and piles of data of credible evidence that crimes have taken place against other people of a different social status than I, they are going to sit there completely protected by the state. So it shows that these democracies that we live within are completely corrupted from head to toe. And without a rule of law.
Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. I have those both on the same. I need to fix that. But yeah. So what we got today is, I think the first thing I want to say is, man, I feel like Piers Morgan has really like stepped up his game. Like he has good guests on. They're like good interviews. They're good conversations. Like I've been stoked on Piers Morgan as of late. Like this has been good for me. Recently he had his like hip surgery, so he's always talking about his hip surgery. But I recently had an injury, so I feel what he's doing. That's the injury is what has enabled me to be able to get into YouTube and start making videos and stuff. So that's all exciting. But yeah, Piers Morgan, man, his interviews have really gotten better, and they're almost all like pretty good. And I think what's like craziest about it is that I don't think anybody gets paid for this. Like I think they literally do it for free, and it's just it's a promotion for their brand, for their social media brand. Because everyone that comes on it has a brand essentially. There's some politicians, but it's mostly YouTubers, podcasters, news people trying to expand their brand and expand their name.
Then what is a democracy?
You all know the story of Camelot. Rise of the Merlin. And the thing about Mandelson, he was always drawn to money and rich, famous, powerful people. That was his massive Achilles heel. But in terms of him now, the stuff that's coming out, and is still coming out, but what we now know is that he was the business secretary in our government and was trading and passing on top secret information that was financially incredibly sensitive to Epstein, a convicted pedophile, multi-millionaire US financier. God knows what Epstein then did with that, with his financial friends. Did he trade? Did he make more millions? Quite likely. We don't know. I'm sure that will all unravel. But he was doing this, which is an act of absolute treachery. And I saw Starmer in the House of Commons today, really going after Mandelson. I'm like, well, that ship has sailed. You knew what you were dealing with here. This guy had twice had to resign from government. You knew he carried on seeing a convicted paedophile, perhaps right up to Epstein's death. And notwithstanding that, and notwithstanding you didn't know the nature of what they were doing in this ongoing friendship, you take this massive punt of putting him on the global stage again. And that's why, Mandelson, to me, he is facing criminal prosecution and very likely a lengthy prison sentence. It's hard to think, actually, of a more obvious case, a more prima facie case of corruption in public office than what he did. He sold this country down the river, giving secrets to a convicted pedophile in America.
And here's the real interesting question, sir, because it clearly is high treason. The interesting questions are, firstly, how did Jeffrey Epstein get so rich? Because nobody can seem to answer that question. Right. I sit here and wonder, while our elites of Western governments are continually making decisions which go against the will of 95% of the electorate on repeat. Nobody in the UK wants all of their tax money sent to Ukraine. We have enough problems in England. Nobody in the UK wants the small boats to keep arriving, yet they keep arriving. So we have a democratic system, which is clearly completely corrupted. There's clearly compromise on all of the elites inside of our system. These people are clearly financing pedophiles on the other side of the planet, making them billionaires. And they're making decisions that nobody is voting for and that nobody wants. And then to try and deflect and conflate, they take my brother and I and they say that we're dangerous. Or now we have Keir trying to sell Mandelson down the river, just as you quite correctly pointed out, when he made the decision himself. Our systems are completely corrupted from head to toe, and Epstein is only the tip of the iceberg. There are many other secret societies, many other islands, and many other places where these people convene. And that's where conversations are happening, which completely subvert the will of democracy and subvert the will of the electorate. And I have to give credit to Donald Trump himself. Although it may have got him some smoke because he does appear in the files, he at least released them, showing that he's maverick enough to try and bring some transparency back to our democratic systems. Because if Donald Trump didn't win, these conversations wouldn't even be taking place. And Keir trying to run damage control after not mentioning this at all and trying to keep on a lid on it for so long, just once again shows there's a lot more to this story than we know.
I mean, a few things you said there I would pick up on and challenge. There is no evidence that the majority of people in the UK do not supporting Ukraine. In fact, it's the opposite. The majority of people in the UK do support helping the Ukrainians. You're right about the small boats. On Trump, I know Trump very well. I spoke to him a few days ago. I think on the Epstein files, he's dug himself into a big hole because he made it part of his campaigning in the last election that he would be completely transparent and release all the Epstein files. I had people in his administration within days of him being inaugurated who came on this show and said, we're going to release everything. We had Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, leading everybody up the garden path and saying, here are the binders with all the stuff. And none of it happened. And then we had Elon Musk suddenly coming out saying Donald Trump's in the files, which is ironic, given we now know so is Elon Musk. And it doesn't mean either of them did anything wrong, but they're in the files. And you've now got a situation where millions of these documents have been released, but we're told there are still 3 million that may not be released. Well, how is that ever going to solve a scandal in terms of addressing the raging conspiracy theories if you hold back 3 million documents? That's not transparent. So I think if I'm being critical of Trump about anything with this, my main criticism is the failure to deliver on his promise to be transparent.
Perhaps, but he's certainly been more transparent than the governments before.
So what Pierce said is absolutely correct. And honestly, I don't know why I'm sitting here thinking that I'm going to get like a good take from Andrew Tate. He's a fucking idiot. That's like pretty much the only thing I can say about that. That guy's a fucking idiot. He's not going to give us a good take about anything.
Where we know that they had this information for a very long time and an absolute lid was kept on it. So at least he's beginning the process of letting the people at home understand how corrupt our institutions are. And myself, I'm in a lot of trouble with many charges from the British government for my speech, saying the things I say are completely unacceptable. But primarily my message is challenging the blanket authority and the blanket narratives which are pushed by our institutions. And now that we see our institutions are completely corrupted by billionaire pedophiles, now we see our institutions have been completely overrun and they're operating in secret rooms and subverting the rule of law. I think that makes it even more important that people like myself continue to challenge authority and demand answers and demand transparency and not believe official narratives. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What we know is going to be a fraction of what actually took place. And if I find it absolutely disgusting, and I don't want to make this about me, that they've managed to do so much damage to my brother and I with no evidence while sitting on such a huge pile of evidence for some of the most important people on the planet. To address what you said about Trump, I agree with you. But I think Trump would have been under huge pressure from some of the most important people in administrations all around the world to release nothing at all. And the fact that he continued to try and be transparent and allow people at home to understand how this world really works, I have to give him credit for, because a lot of people would have been in Trump's ear saying, don't release anything. And yes, he's a maverick, as is Elon. And if our democracies are going to survive in the coming decade with all of the problems that exist in our societies, transparency is the most important thing we can push for.
Yeah, but even with Elon, who I'm a big fan of in terms of his business acumen and achievements and everything else, but he's out there every day, all day at the moment saying, I've led the charge against the Epstein stuff. I want full transparency. I had nothing to do with it. I rejected all advances from Epstein and so on. And yet we're reading emails from him where he's clearly very keen to get on the island, very keen to know what night's the wildest party night and so on, which is a complete contrary, conflicted reality to what he's trying to make us think. Age hits you like a brick and earlier than you think. It turns out that most men begin losing testosterone around the age of 30, about 1% every year. And even worse, a lot of what your body makes is blocked by proteins in the blood. Well, Mars Men helps turn back the clock naturally and free up usable testosterone. No needles, no synthetics, just real support. Users report feeling stronger, their recovery is better, and their energy is steady. Mars Men has 8 natural, clinically dosed ingredients. It's made in the United States and it's third-party tested. They offer a 90-day money-back guarantee with no risk. More than 91% of users report higher energy and thousands swear by it. For a limited time, uncensored viewers get 50% off for life plus free. But I have explained that very simply. All right.
Please
So
do.
in 2013, I think it was, I went to a book launch for a guy who was editor of a British newspaper in Manhattan. A lot of starry people there, Stephen Fry, all these people. And I was introduced to a woman I didn't know called Ghislaine
fucking
Maxwell.
Stephen Fry.
And the link was that I was editor of a Daily Mirror in the UK, which was owned by her father for many years, Robert Maxwell, who then fell off a boat and probably killed himself. Maybe not. We don't know. And I had a 5-minute conversation with Ghislaine Maxwell, and a photographer appeared and took group pictures, and then
This is lame.
fucking totally
I want to talk about Andrew Tate and his legal problems. So that's that's what I'm looking for here. Oh, it's like we found it on a social media post and his staff deleting his post. Okay, yeah, this is what we're looking for.
and why your PR team would do that, because you don't say a small number of women or qualify in any way. You just say women have become such lying whores. And I find that deeply offensive. I'm not even a woman. Why generalize about all women in that way? Why say women have sex then cry rape so often? The real victims. Why not phrase it in a way that might engender some empathy for your situation, rather than actually make every woman who hears that think that you hate women, you're a misogynist, you think they're all liars, they all cry rape. Why talk in that generalized?
He is a
inflammatory-
misogynist. He hates women. And he thinks that if a woman says they got raped, then they probably deserved it. Such a jerk.
Which
Well, it may shock you to believe that women absolutely love me, and my largest fans are women, and I'm approached every day by women.
I've
I don't
never
say
heard one woman be like, Andrew Tate, oh my God, I gotta get some of that bald, skinny bitch. Dude, that is... There actually are women that are into Andrew Tate. There's a subsect of women out there that were abused by their fathers. Their moms probably didn't give a shit about them either. And they kind of just are looking for not just abused, but also like neglected too. And they just have this like weird relationship with men where they like to date toxic men, and they know these men are toxic. They know they're pieces of shit, but they're like so physically attracted to them. The toxic part of it. Something like that.
To try and elicit sympathy from my self-peers. I made a brand on saying what I believe to be true, even if it's shocking, even if some people find it confrontational. My point is that we have a massive scandal now where genuine victims exist, where we have compromise on the highest levels of government, and we have women who are wasting police time with false accusations, and many men's lives have been ruined by exactly that.
That's the biggest problem in society today, is women claiming that men are sexually assaulting them, and the men getting their lives ruined because of that claim. That's the biggest problem with society, for sure. For sure. You tell them, Andrew.
And it's disgusting because rape, I have many daughters, is probably the most heinous of all crimes that exists on the planet. And you like to believe that
But
if a
you
woman
also-
cries rape,
I have many daughters. Andrew Tate has daughters. Is this for real, dude? Does Andrew Tate have children? Yes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Give me the wrong thing here. Yes, Andrew Tate has indicated that he has children, although he generally keeps his family life private. Reports from late 2022 mentioned at least one son, referring to a child named Will, and BBC reports indicate some of his followers or their families have mentioned his children in the context of his public image. Tate has not publicly disclosed the exact number of or names of all his children to maintain their privacy. Oh my God. He has occasionally alluded to being a father in his content. That's weird, yo. That is not surprised to hear that.
Okay, but you also know. Okay, but you also know that only in the UK, about 1% of all rape cases are successful. 99% do not lead to conviction. You must accept that that also is outrageous and shocking and has to change.
Well, that's outrageous if the 99% are genuine rape claims. Of course, we can't try and get the number up without evidence. My point is, of that 99%, how many are fake? We don't know. We live in a world now where, very unfortunately, women can get huge financial gain, and they can also get huge social media gain by falsely accusing men who never did anything. And that makes it extremely difficult for the judicial authorities and the police to find true victims. If we didn't have all these fake rape claims being given to the British police all day, perhaps they'd have more interest. I doubt it, but they'd certainly have more time in investigating a serious pile of evidence of over 6 million files of people who were spending a lot of time with a convicted pedophile. These things are not mutually exclusive. Of course, we need to try and prevent any kind of fake accusation of crime happening, of course. And of course, crying wolf makes it more difficult to discern what is true and what is not true. But it is very clear that huge piles of evidence exist here inside of the Epstein files, which have been ignored. And it's not only because of fake rape claims, it's because of systemic corruption inside of our democratic systems. And the democratic system has all of the resource it needs to come after the people like myself who highlight these corruptions, as opposed to trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, but on the one hand, your position is that the Epstein files, they should be all released. These awful men should be held to account. Blah 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 blah.
I think that all men should be investigated, sir.
Okay, but on the other hand, you then say, but the problem with the Epstein files is women have become such lying whores, it's impossible to take any of these unsubstantiated claims seriously.
What? That's dark, bro. Come on. You can't be saying shit like that. Come on, Andrew.
How do you square those two positions?
How do you square it? I'm very interested in how he explains this away. Piers, don't let him just walk away from this shit.
Very difficult for a judicial authority when they get a claim of rape, knowing that 99% never lead to conviction, to take them as seriously as they should. So this is a two-pronged attack. Of course, the police need to heavily investigate every single accusation of rape, as they did on my brother and I. Of course, they took that extremely seriously and failed to reach conviction.
You're inferring that the 2,000 women. You're inferring that the 2,000 women who've made allegations about Epstein and other men involved with Epstein, that none of their claims can be taken seriously.
That's not actually what I'm inferring. What I'm inferring is that when you understand information warfare and you understand how important it is for them to try and shape a narrative to save themselves, if one of those women have lied, they're going to take her story, prove it's a lie, amplify it, and try and discredit all of the women who have actually told the truth. That's why it's so important that women do not lie to judicial authorities about things like rape, because it's extremely important.
But why don't you talk more respectfully? All right, but why don't you talk more respectfully about women in general, but save your anger for the small minority of women who do what you say they do? It's not the vast majority of women. You know it and I know it. It's not like all women that make these allegations are making it up. You know that. And it's the way you talk in this generalized term is why people think you're a misogynist and hate women. And you may work, I don't know if you are or not. But I do know that when you use language like this, which even your PR team then take down. I mean, look, another one you posted that they took down. I presume they took it down. You can clarify. You said, I miss human trafficking. The emotions ran high. Been chasing dopamine ever since.
Yeah, it's hyperbolic. I think you're aware that the internet has changed a lot across the last 5 years and that the entire nature of conversations has changed. And it's hyperbolic to highlight exactly how ridiculous it is that I was accused of human trafficking in the first place while we have members of the Labour government.
That's the most ridiculous response I've heard to any question, like, ever. I miss human trafficking. That was hyperbolic. I was just saying it because you're accusing me of it. You gotta be kidding me, man. I feel dumber after hearing that.
Which are spending time on an island with a convicted pedophile. And everybody else at home understands that. The internet is heavily hyperbolic. It's heavily sarcastic. This is the way the internet currently functions. So I don't think anybody at home really believes, one, that I'm a human trafficker. I've yet to meet anybody in real life who said anything other than they're trying to stitch you up, Andrew, for highlighting their corruption. And secondly, even if I was somehow convicted of human trafficking, that people would believe that I'm going to tweet that that's what I want to do. It's called sarcasm. I'm sure you understand it very well. The nature of the internet is
why did you take it down? Or was it who took it down?
I'm answering the question. And these gotcha moments are 5 or 6 years out of date. Nobody cares anymore about these gotcha moments. Everybody knows that I've been completely unfairly treated by the judicial authorities, that my business and my reputation has been slandered by the exact people who were doing the crime.
Hang on. What do you mean? Okay, let's unpick this. What do you mean by gotcha moment?
Well, you saying you tweeted this sarcastically and you can't say that. I don't think anybody's interested in this anymore. We have a much bigger and more.
I didn't know whether it was. I didn't know what you were doing with this tweet. All I read was what you wrote, and then it got deleted, right? Which infers that either. Well, who deleted it first of all?
I understand if you don't understand sarcasm. My point is, we have a
who deleted it? But who deleted it?
While I was asleep, members of my staff deleted the tweets. And I perhaps, in my bid to fight the UK government to the very end, perhaps where I'm so pressing on the point of truth, perhaps where I try and highlight how corrupt and how disgusting these people truly are, perhaps it would be more sensible for my own freedom to not tell the truth about some of these things and not be so pressing and go away and be quiet, because that's what they've been trying to make me do since the absolute beginning.
Well, that wouldn't be the point I would make. No, I don't think that's what your PR team was saying. I presume they were reading the words, I miss human trafficking. The emotions ran high, been chasing dopamine ever since. I don't think it's a gotcha of me to read back your own words and to ask you what you mean by them, given that your own PR team deleted them.
It's clearly sarcastic and hyperbolic. And I think that to sit here and talk about tweets which are sarcastic as opposed to the systemic corruption that exists inside of all of our democratic institutions is probably a waste of time. We can talk about it for the rest of this interview. But clearly what's far more interesting is the fact that we have a ruling class which is ignoring the electorate completely. There's two-tier policing taking place. People are spending time with convicted pedophiles and sending them billions of dollars. And me highlighting in a hyperbolic and sarcastic way how ridiculous it is that 2 young boys from Luton were accused of human trafficking, slandered, investigated, and put in jail, while none of these people face 1% of the punishment my brother and I have been through. I think that highlighting that ridiculousness is actually quite important. It is absolutely insane that my brother and I have been investigated more heavily than anybody else inside of those files.
Let's turn to another controversy you were involved in recently. This was the night you went to a nightclub in Miami with Nick Fuentes, Myron Gaines, Sneeko, and Clavicular. You all came under heavy criticism because in the van that you were traveling...
Of course he's hitting a fucking hookah right now. Of course he is. God, he sucks so bad. Look at this idiot. Good Lord, man. This is embarrassing. This is an embarrassing interview. Let's hear about this nightclub thing,
with
and then
people live streaming from it. Yeah, you were playing Kanye West's song "Heil Hitler," and that song was then requested to be played once you got in the club to the DJ who played it unwittingly. There's been a lot of backlash.
Why was
this,
the DJ?
as you know.
Let's be professionals, Piers. Why was the DJ unwittingly? He was unaware of what the song was.
Well, he claims to have been unaware of what he was playing. So we'll come to that in a moment. Let's go through chronologically what happened here. Whose idea was it to play that song in the van?
Well, I didn't play the song in the van. And the great thing about this entire event is that it was live streamed and you could see me say, "What is this?"
Right.
And leave the van quickly. I also think it's pretty ridiculous for us to, once again, as we highlight that all of our institutions are completely corrupted to the core by satanic pedophiles, and completely ridiculous for us to sit here and ignore a genocide that just took place and complain about a song being played. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's okay.
Well, we're complaining. Well, hang on. We're complaining about it's ironic because we're complaining about a song being played that idolizes Adolf Hitler, who waged one of the all-time worst genocides against the Jewish people. So actually, it couldn't be more relevant. I'm glad you mentioned the genocide word. So let's just stick to what happened, because I'm curious. You're all in this van. The word is that it was Sneeko that put the record on in the van. Is that correct?
I believe it was Sneeko. It certainly wasn't me. Somebody else played it, and it's all on video. I'm sure that you and your team can do an investigation and work out who it was. And by association, being in a van when someone else plays a song, to try and grill me for that, considering that you were at a book launch and accidentally took a picture with somebody who's now in jail for pedophilia. You understand very well. Sometimes you're just in a place and
but I'm not
happens.
judging you. I'm not judging you in any way. I'm asking you what happened. This is your chance to clarify what happened. You have sort of clarified it in other interviews. So again, it's easy to characterize what I'm doing as a gotcha. I'm not after a gotcha. This thing happened. It got well reported. You got hammered along with all the others for it. I'm just asking you, in your words, to clarify what happened, right? So you said, unless I misheard you earlier, you said that the moment you heard this being played, you didn't like it and you got out of the van. Why didn't you like this record being played?
Well, I think the best thing for people to do at home, if they're interested in this, instead of the satanic pedophiles which are ruling their lives, if they find this far more interesting, that the entire event took place on video and they can watch it themselves.
Yeah, but why don't you just answer my question? That's the easiest way.
Why would I answer the question when people can look up the video and they can watch it themselves and come to their own conclusions? And anybody who is more concerned about the fact I was in a van when someone else played a song as opposed to the fact they're ruled over by demonic pedophiles, well, then they can raise that with me. I think there's far more pressing concerns. I think there's far more interesting things happening in the world.
Bro.
I think we're living in a system which is completely corrupted. I think we're living in an empire of lies. I think our votes are not real. The judicial system's not real. The media isn't real. The education system isn't real. They're lying to us. They're scamming us. They're trying to effectively genocide us in our host nations. And I don't think the fact that I was in a van when someone else played a song 1 month ago is worth our time.
Holy shit,
okay.
bro.
But you do accept, I suppose, that for young people, but collectively you have
what the
tens of
hell
millions
was
of
that?
people that follow you on all your social medias. That imagery of you all apparently...
We promised to actually, we didn't make any promises to any...
This interview was, okay, first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I love Jubilee. Jubilee is a good time, man. I enjoy Jubilee. The interviews are always really good. It's for the I saw one about sports that was good too. It's mostly about politics, but man, I enjoy Jubilee, and I'm glad that it's a thing for sure.
Like donors or builders or anything like that.
What did you say that you would do in office?
That we would listen to the people and that we would.
What does that mean?
Well, the biggest complaint about people was permitting. Permitting takes too long.
$2 a gallon, and he promised that he would cut our energy bills in half within a year. It's a year. We don't have any of that. Our energy bills are up 11%. Meanwhile, we see the wealthiest 1% of Americans getting about $1 trillion worth of tax cuts with a big rip-off bill. I would say that's very clear that he's more focused on the wealthiest people in our country.
I think that the argument that I would make, and I think it's a structural one, is that we've got, for the last 30 years, globalism has dulled our strategic thinking. And if we want real change, it's not going to happen. Not in a year. It's going to be a strong break, and that's just beginning.
But he said it.
What we've seen, and I think that's just part of the issue with a lot of Democrats, is a hyper fixation on consumers, on the products. But what we've lost is labor, and I think you, as a Democrat, should understand this.
I didn't know that it was a bad thing to be concerned about prices.
Under Joe Biden,
I didn't know that was
had a 50 to 60% increase of border crossings.
You all talk about prices too much, man. That's why Trump looks bad, because the Democrats talk about prices too much. What the fuck? This guy? Holy shit.
Population. You can fact check me.
Annual Border Patrol enforcement actions increased by an average more than 200% between Trump and Biden.
Jubilee, but I think it almost doubled. It's like 10 million people came into this country. That affects working class Americans. Democrats don't care about this.
Can I just say, like, I think that a bunch of immigrants coming to this country is a good thing. Like, they pay taxes, they add to the labor force, they bring more culture, they bring more people, they bring more money, they bring more labor. Like, although all these are good things, I don't understand why having more people, like, they're against it. I do know why. It's because it's brown people, but that's beside the point, though.
The reality is that Democrats will be, tariffs are a tax on consumers. But what do you say about the workers in America that have lost their jobs? Millions and millions of jobs that have left this country. If you think this is going to change in a year, then you're wrong. We need policy that's brave and courageous, and that's what we're seeing with Trump.
First off, the unemployment rate is higher since Trump has taken office. So
The unemployment rate has not
I don't
changed
really
much.
know. I don't really know what you're talking
This
about.
last quarter, we had a 4%
I think that we should. I
increase.
think that we should stay
Inflation
focused on the
inflation
fact
increased
that
much more
I
than
did
the
not
last year's
know
Biden
that
administration.
it was controversial.
When
to
Trump
be
got elected the first time
mad
and the
about
economy
prices.
went up,
We're talking about
you
prices
guys said,
anymore.
oh, it's because he's benefiting from the Obama economy. But now that it's the first year and the economy is starting to lift up, you guys
Starting
don't
to
say the same
lift
thing.
up?
You guys don't say the same
Isn't it
thing.
The economy is starting to lift up. That's a wild claim you got there, buddy.
Inflation going up? What are you talking about?
Do you remember Joe Biden's presidency? What do you think happens
Wait, now, let's
when the
take a step
government
back.
expands, and continues to spend its
look,
money, lets millions of illegal immigrants
This
in
isn't going to
and
go
does
anywhere if you're just
nothing?
going to give a monologue.
If you want to lower inflation and at the same time bring back jobs, you need to do two things.
I don't think your
And it's
friends think you're
domestic deregulation, while at the same time fighting the externalization of labor. We've left our country kill itself, and we don't want to do that no longer. If it's going to take some discomfort, I welcome it, and I think many Americans welcome it. What we're not going to do, and what the Trump administration is not going to do, that Democrats did, is ignore the American people. Yes, popular sentiment right now, they're not comfortable with the economy.
Okay.
But they have not been comfortable with the economy in the last 30 years.
Because you've been talking for a solid 3.5 minutes.
Do you think the economy has worked under Biden or under Obama?
Here's what we were talking about. I'm going to remind you about the prompt.
What's the
The idea in front.
what's the over under on this guy being a virgin? 99.9% this guy has never seen a vagina before. Or a wiener. Just a virgin.
Is that it was not me that put these expectations on Donald Trump. Trump said it himself. He said that he would cut our energy bills in half by a year. He said that he could just go walk into the
Drill,
Oval
baby,
Office
drill. It's
and get it
beginning.
done. And what's happened with
we're
people in this
exporting.
country,
We're exporting
their
more
energy
LNG now than
bills
ever
are
before.
going up,
It's
left
beginning.
and
It's
right.
beginning.
11%
Energy
up
policy
is a lot
becoming
different
saner.
than 50% down, like what he originally promised.
Why don't you like
Trump's not delivering.
Why don't you like about our current energy policy?
Why
What
is it that you cannot?
the
stay
Democrats are the ones
focused
that
on the topic in
constrain
front of us?
energy. The Democrats are the ones that constrain
Pause.
drill, baby, drill.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
That was a
I like you guys' energy. I will say that. Oh,
You're back.
she's quick.
Hello. I just kind of want to piggyback off some of the
little
things I feel like my
a
last
black
friend was trying to get
conservative.
to.
I'm excited for this one, honestly, I am. Nothing like a solidly black conservative.
And you said Trump set the expectation for himself. And so what I feel like a lot of people do on the left is they hear Trump and they hear it through the lens of, I already hate him. I already want him to fail. So already you're coming at it from a very counterproductive perspective. The way, because I've watched every Trump rally because I had to.
Really?
Absolutely, because I used to hate him. But what I found out was the reasons why I hated him was because of how things were cut up and presented to me for so many years. So I had to take it upon myself to go back. I had a lot of time in COVID to go back, watch every rally. A lot of it was hilarious, but it really gave me a full, better understanding of, oh, he was really saying this, right? So I
Hilarious in a terrifying way. Oh, he was really saying this.
used to be on the left, absolutely. How I see we're going to do it within a year is the policies are going to activate. We're going to have clear policies and we're going to make moves within the first year. Now, if you're being honest with yourself and you're being genuine, good things take time. Change takes time. We're not going to fix everything that fell apart in 1 year. We're not going to see the results by December. To me, that it would just be disingenuous to say that you believe that anybody could do that, especially since how we've suffered post-COVID. The globe suffered post-COVID. We have a lot to fix. So what I saw was him saying, hey, we're going to do these things, policy, we're going to have the strategy, the things set in place within the first year. Hence all the manufacturing deals. We have absolutely, NVIDIA, we have so much money coming into this country to build plants. All that's going to take time. And all of that's going to help the working class. Because let me tell you something, I'm also still the working class. I'm college educated. I know they said MAGA wasn't college educated or black, but I am.
They're not, and you're not MAGA. You're not part of the team, dude.
And let me tell you, but I'm also still working class. I also still drive Uber, drive Lyft. I clean a yoga studio. And let me tell you, like, usually those jobs go to, and no offense, but a lot of illegal immigrants. to be.
Let me step in. So first off, I acknowledge that you work hard, right? That is a lot of work, and I want to salute you for that. But the reality is that a lot of people in this country listen to Trump rallies, and they heard him say specific things, and that's what informed him that's what informed them to go and make the decision to vote for him. The reality is that when you make promises, you're going to be graded on whether or not you keep them. And the reality is that he promised that he would cut our energy bills in half. That has not happened. It hasn't even remotely.
Have you seen on Twitter all the people
wait a
blaming Trump about the gas prices? They're low. They're not low here in the Democratic state.
Hold up.
Yeah.
The energy bills are up 11%. That is a fact.
But
the
where?
national average for gasoline in this country is literally almost the exact same as what it was a year ago.
I know, but
it's about 5 cents less.
But even if you compare it by state, I feel like a lot of Democratic ran states are suffering.
It's an average.
Okay, but that
How's an
includes
average
all the
calculated?
Democratic states
How's an average
with huge populations.
How's an average calculated?
You calculate everybody together and then you divide it.
So were Democratic states included in the average last year?
Absolutely.
So they are
Absolutely.
included this year.
Okay.
So why are you mentioning this is some new phenomenon?
Okay, what I'm saying
Blue states
is-
were in there last year as they are this year.
So you're saying-
And this year, gas prices are, if you compare it between this week and
They're
this
lower.
week last year,
No, but
it's
they're
only
lower than
5
last
cents
year.
lower.
But they're
And it
lower
was
than
Trump
last
that
year.
promised that he would have
But they
these
were
gas
lower.
prices.
But the
less than
prices are
$2
lower
a
than
gallon.
last year, dude. There are so many people thanking Trump right now
5
on
cents.
TikTok. Just look for it. I know you don't want to look for it.
She's mentioned TikTok, people posting on TikTok and people posting on what would you say, on Twitter as those being real people and that being like a real story. You guys, especially Republicans, you guys need to understand that shit's not real. The news that you're seeing on TikTok and Twitter, it's coming from an algorithm tailored to you. Like you need to understand that. Like it's not telling. And then TikTok, wow, there's a lot of misinformation on TikTok, but Twitter, X, what the I avoided using Twitter for a really long time, just because like the format was like weird to me and I didn't really like understand it. But man, when I started streaming a few months ago, when I started making videos, I figured I got to be on all the social media outlets and all that stuff. Twitter, X, out of all of them, is by far the weirdest. Like X. It's just weird. And so I opened an account. I had no history or anything, and literally as you scroll down, it's just like normal looking names, kind of normal looking names. They sound like news names or whatever, and the posts are just all just insane. That they're like, Trump just bombed Venezuela. Like, do you still love him? And it's just like all the most sycophantic stuff you've ever seen. One really bad person that I've seen recently is Benny Johnson. That guy lies straight up on his Twitter on a normal basis. Like it's pretty fucking weird if I'm being honest about it. But yeah, Twitter right now is a very, very weird place. Very weird place. I try to look at it in terms of Reddit, because I used to be very active on Reddit, and then I realized I'm not gonna make any money on Reddit, so there's no point to be wasting my time over there. On the other hand, so the thing about Reddit is, well, we're gonna use Reddit to look up how to wire a certain thing, or how this system works. Like, how do I solve a hurt foot? Like, there's all the Redditors and the users are gonna give you good stuff. But politics is kind of put away in silos. Like, you got politics sub, Elon Musk sub, Joe Rogan sub, conservative sub. So it's kind of filed away. And interesting thing about Reddit is that conservatives, when they go on normal subs and they say, "Hey, Donald Trump won the 2020 election," they get banned. You can't say just straight up lies and misinformation on normal subs. You're gonna get banned. So, but you could go on our conservative and say whatever the hell you want, and you won't get banned. Unless you're a liberal, you'll get banned just by looking at the thing. It's pretty gnarly. So anyway, yeah, this just reminds me that dumb people and conservatives, they get their news from social media, and it's a problem, to say the least.
see the truth, but just look for it. It's so many people taking pictures of the gas prices in Texas and Louisiana going, dang, I ain't seen gas. It's $1.19. I done seen that so many times
That's
on
not a
TikTok,
thing.
bro.
Literally
I
not a
promise to
thing.
goodness, all you got to do
It's
is go
not a
look
thing.
for it, baby,
You
because
can
it's
look
out
at the
there.
average.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You can look at the
trying to do
average.
numbers, but I'm telling you, real people.
Because
I'm a
facts,
real person sitting in front of
facts
you.
are over feelings. That's how things
This isn't
work.
feelings, it's reality.
Facts don't care about
It's
feelings.
reality.
That's how
This
it
is not a
goes.
feeling. It's reality.
And the reality is that the national average for gas is literally only 5 cents lower than what it was a year ago. And Trump
Oh,
said,
so it's lower. So we got it lower.
Trump said that he
And
was
it's
going to have
keep-
it less than
and
$2
it's
a
gonna-
gallon.
And it's going to keep dropping.
Is that lower than
but
$2
it's
a gallon?
lower. There's progress.
So you're going
And
to celebrate 5 cents?
Yeah, I'm going to celebrate anything that's lower. Yes, and it's going to keep going. I'm not in my ego, bro.
Says who?
You're coming at this in your ego.
In my
I'm
ego
coming-
because I'm looking at the facts?
No, I'm coming at this as an American who wants to see everybody prosper and succeed.
So
Period.
here's what's not prospering in this country. The fact that people are seeing real wage growth in this country, literally half of what it was last year. The people in this country that are literally
Are you
watching.
talking about unemployment?
What?
Are you talking about unemployment?
Do you know what real wage growth is?
Absolutely.
What is it?
But I'm saying, okay, wage growth as in how much we're making as Americans. Like if the money we take home is growing. That's what you mean.
Inflation,
Yeah.
growth.
Right,
How they make that determination.
right.
And if you look at that number,
Right.
with everything together,
Yes.
it's half of what it was last year.
Okay. But I'm saying there are so many different factors that contribute to that.
Foreclosures are up.
Absolutely.
People cannot afford to live.
But literally, this was last year. This has been happening since the
you
pandemic.
had a president
This
that
has been
ran
happening
for office
since the
saying
pandemic.
that all he had to do was to get in office and he would
And now
fix
you're
every
coming back-
problem
okay,
in
so
America.
it's-
And the reality is
Now you're
that
coming
hasn't
back
happened.
to. Now you're coming back to. We want the magic wand. You have
You
to be
guys
practical.
ran on having a magic wand.
You guys, I didn't run nothing. Like, what are you talking about? You're
The
literally.
chick
thought
is
you're
that's
coming-
dumb. The chick is dumb, dude. Holy shit. Like her dumbness is like resonating through the screen. What a dumb person. Holy shit, dude. This is what social media and the internet has done to people. It's made dumb people think that they're smart.
talking about?
Like literally, there's no
Pause.
magic
You've
wand.
been voted out by the majority. Please take your seat.
You voted for a magic wand. You heard Trump say, I'm going to fix gas prices on day one, so you voted for him. That's why you voted for him.
Thank
Because
you.
he said a bunch of shit that sounded good in the moment, and you believed him, and now he's president and he's not doing it. Oh, the disdain in her face. She knows she just got fucking worked. Good stuff.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, how's it going?
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
I just wanted to piggyback on something that was said before about like the average of gas prices. So I know about this pretty well. So I'm from Washington
This
State,
guy.
and we
This
had
guy.
something called the Climate Commitment Act.
Hold on, this guy looks so stoked for whatever he's about to say right now. You know he's just gonna get smashed on in an embarrassing way. But let's go, gay boy, bring it. Also, gay for MAGA, dude. Holy shit. You want to talk about one of the weirdest things about MAGA is the gays for MAGA. Gay people that think that MAGA is on their side. You're an idiot. You're an actual idiot if that's what you believe.
By our Democrat-run state, which actually raised our gas prices since last year. So when you talk about the average only going down that much, it has gone down in a lot of other places in the country, but it's actually gone up in several blue states. So that's probably why you're seeing the average not go down by as much. So a lot of blue states live in insulated bubbles where they're not even getting the effects of some of the benefits of Trump's policies like deregulation for energy.
Did blue states have gas taxes last year?
No, it was a new. Well, what we had is the CCA was introduced from 2022.
Oh, no.
The people
Was there gas taxes last year? Well, come on, bro.
repeal it through an initiative. We gathered almost 2.4 million signatures,
That's
and
not what I asked, though.
it was
I
declined
said,
by the.
did blue states have gas taxes last year?
I can speak to my blue state. Yeah, we had. It was a new gas tax that we tried to repeal.
No.
Blue states, as in California, Washington, other
Washington,
places,
sure.
have had gas taxes for a long time, and they literally were in the national average last year, and they're in it this year. If you look at states like Texas, for example, that's a state that does not have this particular act that you're mentioning. Gas prices might be lower by 10 cents, 7 cents, 8 cents, something to that degree. The reality is that Trump promised nationally that he was going to bring the national average of gas less than $2 a gallon. That has not happened. But here's what he has delivered on.
I mean, people say a lot of things during the campaign.
Well, here's what he has delivered on. Trillions of dollars, $3.4 trillion worth of tax cuts, $1 trillion of which flowed to the wealthiest 1% of Americans. He can keep promises to his rich donor friends, but but he can't keep promises to people like you.
I'm more
and to
concerned
me,
with-
I think that's the reason
Sure.
why Republicans are struggling
Sure.
across this
I don't
country.
really care if the rich are getting richer as long as the middle class and lower class are also taken care of. I don't believe in this whole idea that it's a zero-sum game and that in order for the poor to do better, the rich have to do worse.
Is that what I said?
No, but that's kind of what you're implying because we weren't even talking about.
That's not what I said,
We're not,
though.
we're not talking about. We're
I said
talking about what
was-
affects people like me, right?
Well,
so
what
gas
affects-
prices affect people like
Well,
me.
what affects people like you is that Trump has not delivered on his whole promise of just wiping a pen on a piece of paper and then lowering people's gas prices.
But
What he
you-
has
you've
not
ran for
delivered.
office before.
What he
You
has
know that's
not.
not
What
how
he
it
has
works,
not.
right?
What he has not delivered on is the fact that literally people have their energy bills that are going up left and
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Inflation is going up. Food
Yeah.
prices are going up.
And in my
left right.
Democrat-run state,
Grocery
they
prices
they
are
voted
going
to
up
increase energy
everywhere
prices.
across this country.
Right.
The reality is that you
Not
guys
the same.
ran on
That's
an
the
agenda.
reality.
You ran on an agenda of lowering people's prices, and you did not.
Okay.
You didn't do that.
Oh, but we didn't do that across the board. Okay.
No,
Now,
you didn't.
Well,
That's
when
what
you
a
look at-
national average is.
Sure, I understand that, but you're completely ignoring the factors that come into play in those individual states. In my state, just like they voted to raise the gas tax for what the gas you fill up in your car, they also voted to increase the gas for your natural gas that you use to heat your home. That affected small businesses. That affected immigrant small businesses more than anybody. You're not listening,
listening.
actually,
I'm
because
not
you're.
talking
as
about
soon as I
gas
tell you
prices in
something
one
that
state.
actually affects the
Because it's
average
irrelevant.
and middle, it's irrelevant. The middle class is irrelevant.
I never said that.
Well,
Here's
I'm,
what I said.
I'm trying to talk about what
Because
affects
here-
the middle class, and you're talking about billionaires
because
and tax
here's
breaks.
because here's what I said.
Okay.
What I said was that the national average is